Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I want to run off a couple of rapid fire things that are just going on that I'm aware of because, to be honest with you, I have been so absorbed with my team and my opinions about all that's going on with it that I haven't really had a chance to look into the league or dip into it and just kind of tell you guys what I'm seeing in a couple of days. To be honest with you, I haven't seen a whole lot because I ain't been looking, but there are a couple things that are going on right now that I'd love to mention. Um, Bojan Bogdanovic is balling in Detroit, and he should have been a part of the video that I made when I was breaking down the players that were playing really well last week that should have been added to your fantasy team. Uh, Huge mistake on my part not mentioning his name. He was probably at the top of that list of players that should have been mentioned before some of them other dudes that I mentioned. He's playing like an all-star right now. Detroit is a much better basketball team because he's playing that way, and his $19 million one-year contract is looking fantastic for this season. This expiring contract is looking great. Say what we want to say about him, he looks great. So I think Detroit is doing fantastic things, having him down there shooting the ball. Um, Another thing that's fantastic that I'm just paying attention to, I'm just looking around and I'm seeing Kyrie Irving is balling. Kai is balling, man. I knew that he was playing well. Obviously, the team, my focus on the Nets as it pertains to them is the stars are the stars, and the players on the, that complement them aren't good enough. So that's it, write them off. But the reality is that particular star is playing crazy great right now, averaging 30 points in the first couple of games. He's averaging a block and a steal on top of everything else. That should just let you know how serious he's balling right now. So while they can say all these different things about him going on off the court or whatever, on the court, Kai's playing some of the best basketball he's played since he left Cleveland. So that tells me his expiring contract. He's also playing for a big contract, and he's doing his thing to make sure that people know what type of talent he's playing with right now, what level he's playing at right now. So it's all about health for guys like that. Him, Bogdanovich, Pirtle, various different guys that are on one-year contracts. I do expect them to ball out. I do expect them to play way up in a high level because they are trying to get opportunities at multi-year contracts. So they're gonna give it what they got. And so I'm just seeing that. And those players particularly, they're balling out. Let's see. Also, since we're talking about the Los Angeles Lakers, someone who stepped their game up quite a bit. Since I'm a Laker fan, I'm thinking about the Lakers. In the midst of all the nonsense going on with the Lakers, I gotta say that Lonnie Walker has made himself a pretty heck of a solid scoring player, and I think from here you can see him running into fantasy relevance and also having a bigger role with the Lakers since they're devoid of talent and need a shooting guard, and have had good success with shooting guards in the past who've taken on this role and have just flourished with it. So we're starting to see Lonnie Walker step into that for the Lakers, and we know what that role can provide a player with his skill set. Having Malik Monk last year do so well, so I'm excited about what Lonnie could do for himself and continue to be a productive player for my team. Another guy that needs to be mentioned in regards to how well they're playing right now, just as of late, and it's not surprising to me, Donovan Mitchell of the Cleveland Cavaliers. He is playing out of his mind, doing all kinds of things for his team, scoring, assists, defense has stepped all the way up. Guys leave an organization that they've been with their entire lives, and sometimes the transition is tough. You're leaving a place like Utah, it's not a big city. You're going to Cleveland, it's also not a big city, so the transition isn't serious as it pertains to that type of adjustment. But nevertheless, changing conferences, leaving the environment you're used to. You thought you were going to New York, your hometown. You figured you'd be playing for the Knicks, and you end up with the Cleveland Cavaliers, which I think most people will agree on paper is a much better team. But nevertheless, all of that would lend to itself being something that maybe Donovan wouldn't exactly thrive under when you consider all of that. But he is. In fact, I think he's having a better season this year than he started off having last year with the Utah Jazz. So you just got to give Donovan Mitchell credit. He looks absolutely phenomenal for Cleveland, and I do believe for an absolute fact that they are a team you need to consider coming out of the Eastern Conference this season. So those are players I want to mention for sure. Just looking around the NBA, I am kind of run of the mill shocked, I guess is the word. Run of the mill shocked at how people are reacting to the start that the Minnesota Timberwolves are having. And the reason why I say that is because I think the way that people are looking at them is as if they're supposed to come in and blow the schedule out of the water. They've had 4 games they went 2-2. 2 of those games were against OKC. One of those games against the Lakers. I don't know who the other team was, but they beat us. And I guess they lost either one or both of those OKC games. And here's the thing. When you got a brand new team with new everybody, especially when the core itself is new, and you're shuffling around the pieces that they've shuffled, lost some of the players they've lost, brought in, obviously, Rudy Gobert, it's going to be an adjustment for you to learn your offense, learn your personnel, for the coach to learn how to incorporate such a massive piece into what it is that they do. And a lot of what they did last year was kind of centered around Karl Towns and Anthony Edwards kind of being the inside piece to the outside, work, as opposed to like Karl Towns now being able to float around the perimeter more. Now, I think this benefits Karl's game greatly, but it is an adjustment period for the team that they're going to need to learn how to play, and then from there develop what it is that they're doing. So I just think when I look at teams that don't have the cohesiveness, I look at maybe like Boston or Phoenix, teams like that who are coming back relatively the same as they were last year. If they were to come out and have some of these issues, having no real personnel changes, I'm looking and I'm saying, yeah, we got to look at them and say they're disappointing. But for a team that has brand new pieces, especially when one of the pieces is literally like a third of their cap, and they don't know each other like that, and the piece is like Rudy Gobert, it's not like they're bringing a shooter or dribbler into the game, into their system. I just don't see why people are so surprised at them splitting the first 4 games. Even though those games are supposed to be easy games, if you guys follow me, we know OKC is not that. And that's, I guess, what brought me to this. When I saw their schedule and I'm like, okay, people are talking about the Timberwolves played an easy schedule, and then I see they played OKC twice, I'm like, nah, OKC is an optical illusion. They are an optical illusion, and what that means is they got a bunch of players that you ain't heard of, but if you look at who they are, they were all lottery picks over the last 3 years. A couple of them dudes was in the top 20 picks this season. And then you got guys who were in the top 20 picks last season. Then you got some guys who were the top 20 picks the season before. Then you got some guys who came out of the G League who popped, who were really good. Their whole team is made up of guys who are excellent, but who are early in their development. Guys like Baisley, they're going to be ballers 3-4 years from now. They just have to continue to develop. And so it's like, when I see that he's going up against OKC, I'm like, I know what OKC has. I know who Williams is going to be, Jalen Williams. I know SGA is a real star right now. I know Giddey is a real star right now. I know Robinson Earl is the truth. I know Wiggins is the truth. I know, like, it goes on forever. Lou Dort is the truth. I know that Ousmane Deng can play. It's like they have a whole team full of lottery picks. And just because the media don't know who these guys are, doesn't mean those who follow don't know that OKC is a team full of the future stars of tomorrow. That's the reality of it. These players' floor is way up in the sky. So even though you don't know who they are and they haven't made a name for themselves, it doesn't mean that they literally can't ball all the way out every single night. And they can, and they've been beating people. If you notice, OKC has been winning games, and they've been staying in games. And even though they've been dealing with injuries, they still stay in the games. And why? It's because the secret is that they are one of the deepest teams in all of basketball. They're deep, super deep, because of that dynamic. So with that being said, you got to take a look at that team, because they do have players popping off all over the place. And some of those names I mentioned are just a few of them. They got a few more who are also very capable of doing good things. So, yeah, no. They got rim protection. They got athletes. They got scorers. They got defenders. They got shooters. The only thing they don't have is your attention. That's all. Give it a couple years. You'll know who all those guys are. So, another team that, of course, I've mentioned, Charlotte. They're just continuing to play well. Richards, McDaniels, Dennis Smith, all those guys are just popping up and popping out at the same time. Gordon Hayward's playing excellent right now. He's trying to get himself traded. just like Kyrie and those guys. So you have to look up and see Gordon Hayward putting up crazy numbers. The only thing I worry about is for those guys who are doing that, where will their production be in February? Because they're pushing, trying to get themselves traded. But I would tell them, don't overexert yourself. It's a marathon for everybody, and the key to what you're doing is to say that you can do this not just for a spurt, but that you can do this for the duration of many years, so that you can get the multiple year contracts. So that's what I would tell you guys. It's not, if you really want to impress the genius scouts, find a way to remain healthy, more so than keeping this production level and letting it wean, because it takes too much energy to maintain it, if that makes any sense. Yeah, I guess I think I conveyed the thought. It's a marathon for everybody, so don't do too much too soon is what I would tell them guys. So yeah, man. And as far as the teams that have those players, sell high. You got an opportunity to sell high. These guys are playing well. They are pushing themselves so that they can get traded. Pull the trigger on a trade before they get hurt. Gordon Hayward, Kyrie Irving, all these different guys. I would tell their respective teams, if you're looking to move them and they're playing well, don't be hard butts about trades, because that value could plummet at any moment if they roll an ankle. Trust me on that. That's real. They can roll an ankle while they're doing all of this, and your trade could. So if you got a good one, and it's for one of them players, give it some thought. And what else, man? We already talked about Miles Turner and him wanting to go to the Lakers, possibly. Gordon Hayward, same thing. I just tell those guys, man, listen, y'all got situations that require you to be paid a certain amount of money. If you look at the Lakers situation, acquiring you is irresponsible for them. So that's it. You guys got the talent. Make your price tag fit our cap so that we can be champions. If you can't do that, you're barking up the wrong tree, because that's really all we're about. It's literally all we're about. So, yeah, man, that's what I got to say. I wanted to come back and just talk about a few things. I don't really follow these games as specifically as I should, to say, okay, this team played that team and they doing great. Not like I should be, man. But I'd like to get more so into it. I can tell you a team that's been disappointing a lot of people is the Philadelphia 76ers. And, I'm going to tell you guys, man, I think maybe I'm overestimating what they can do on the wing in terms of their small forward position. Maybe PJ Tucker doesn't have it like that. Maybe they still need more athleticism on the wing than they have. But I don't know that they don't have what they need. Anytime I look at the Philadelphia 76ers at this point, it's Doc, honestly. And every time I pick the 76ers, I always overlook that I've had my issues with Doc and his coaching style for years and years and years. It's almost like something you forget about. It's like, do you believe in the Sixers? Yes. Do you believe in Doc? No. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. He has proven to me, just on paper and just with the results, that he can't get it done. Yeah, I know the Boston Celtics championship. I'm a Laker fan. I know. But no, it's been a very long time, and every team he's had is underachieved. And they've choked a lot. And then I look at this season, I say, you got James Harden coming in as basically close to all-star level James Harden. You got Tyrese Maxey, who's basically ready to be an all-star himself. You got Joel Embiid, who's arguably your MVP every year. And this guy cannot get this team to play like they have any light pocketness to them. Like they got any looseness to their bodies. It's like they play stiff all the time. And I look at the season this year, and I look at how they're starting the season. I'm like, here we go again. Different players, same dynamic, because the coach ain't changed. If Doc Rivers does not make this team as good as I believe they should be, I do believe they should move on. Now, I thought they should move on from Doc maybe 2 years ago. Honestly, I would have moved on. But the Philadelphia 76ers got a thing going on over there, and they believe in. Fine, continuity is great, but at this point in time, the results are not backing the name. Doc Rivers at this point is a name. The results show you're gonna be disappointed when he's coaching your team. That's what the results have shown us for probably like 10, 11 years straight. So you think about the dynamic of the Dallas Cowboys and how Stephen A. Smith always make fun of the Cowboys because they won championships back in the 90s and still act like they steal that. That's exactly the dynamic of Doc Rivers. He is a walking coaching version of the Dallas Cowboys. still living off of the old success, and everything he's done since has been not only not good enough, but a substantial disappointment. So it's like, how come we can't just walk away and be just okay? Why it gotta be you having a 3-0 lead and then blowing it? Like, it has to be some significant disappointment attached to his team's performances, and I'm just like of the mindset that I'm glad that he's not attached to my franchise, to be honest with you. And so, yeah, Philly needs to make the coaching move there, and that's truly the problem in my mind, just being honest. All right, the next thing I'm looking at in regards to that same dynamic is the Brooklyn Nets. I'm sorry, but I feel the exact same way about Steve Nash. And I know he has a lot more rope to make mistakes because he's a second-year coach, and all of that is not withstanding the fact that when you watch that team, their offense just is, break it down with one-on-one attack. It's not a whole lot of continuity. It's not a whole lot of assists. The defense is non-existent. You watch highlights of their team, and they got wide-open shooters with no one near them just letting shots off while they sit there and watch. Like, it's too much basketball intellect in their organization for them not to have a more cohesive offense. And I felt the same way about the Lakers last year. It's not just offense, defense too, but they just need to have more cohesive, imaginative play calling, I think, is what people are saying. For those who I listen to who watch the team closer than I do, that's what I'm hearing. They just do not tend to run offense as to the strengths of the players. They tend to do stuff that just doesn't bring players together. And when you have a player like Ben Simmons running your offense, that should never be the case. You should be able to create very unique opportunities to run plays that maybe other teams can't run because of the player like Ben Simmons who can run your offense at 7 feet. So he's starting to get in better shape. He's starting to bring along his production, which ain't surprising. By the time February comes around, he should be regular Ben Simmons if he isn't hurt. But that's the thing. Can they keep him healthy with the defensive assignments that they throw him at? And I don't think so. So I do believe they should get themselves a bruiser, somebody big, somebody who could push people around, Isaiah Stewart, Valanciunas, Zubac, somebody like that. They need somebody like that who could just take the physical pressure off of everybody who has to have physical assignments that shouldn't have them. Kyrie Irving pushing people around and stuff like that. You should not be asking him with his frame to have real physical defensive assignments. I just think that they're asking their players to do too much and they're begging for it, as I've said a million times. So part of what they should do is getting rid of Steve Nash, I believe, and getting a coach down there that can help get the most out of their entire roster. And then the next thing they need to do is sell high on Kyrie Irving. If they're not going to re-sign him, if they're going to continue to do as they've been doing, Joe Sides obviously has a mindset for always responding to something that Kyrie's doing. If you got that much of a problem with the man, get him off your team. I'll never understand why you'll sit there with somebody you don't agree with and continue to pay them to do something that can't help you win. I'll never understand that. It's just low frequency stuff, if you ask me. Like trying to control a man or something, I don't know. But I think Joe Tsai should just up off of Kyrie Irving's contract and move on. Literally move on. That's just how I feel about the situation. So, yeah, man, I think that about a lot of stuff right now. I think the NBA should I think that every single team in the league should take a look at itself in the mirror right now and just say, are we living in the reality of what it is we need to be accepting? All teams. Because I'm looking at teams that have certain agendas and they're headed in opposite directions. That's what I see all over the league. It's like, do we know who we are? I think I need to walk up to each and every team and just hold a mirror up to them and just show them, this is who you are, just in case you've forgotten. Because there's a lot of that running around right now. The Lakers think they something they not. You know what I mean? And we've talked a lot about how disgusted I am with that team right now. You know what I mean? And I think they need to blow this thing up because they're losers over there right now. Seriously. And then I look at like certain other teams like the Utah Jazz, hold a mirror up to them and say, look, your team is too good. You're too good, man. These guys all want the minutes that you're giving them. You have created an opportunity for players who've never had opportunities to ball all the way out. And while that's okay if you're Charlotte, because you ain't traded the farm to get an opportunity at Wembanyama, so if you happen to just land him, you're happy. But if you're the Utah Jazz, you got to make way too many moves to put yourself in a position to get that particular player. And to have Kelly Olynyk, Lauri Markkanen, Colin Sexton, Vanderbilt, and all these other guys that are really, really good, but not nearly good enough to make you feel good about not getting Victor Wembanyama, there's no way I'm letting them screw me out of Victor Wembanyama. I'm trading all of them. I'm trading all of them, and I don't care what it takes to make sure I need to get a lot worse so that those players with all that upside and all that talent don't mess up my future. You need a mirror, Utah. They're going to mess it up. And I look at teams like, who else? There's a few others. You need a mirror. And it's just like the Clippers. You need a mirror. Everybody's gassed you up to be a championship team, but you don't have enough size to actually get it done. If you get yourself some size, you will. But you can't run like this. You cannot run like this. You've let the media gas you up into believing that everybody can run at 6'8". Too short. And Kawhi Leonard needs to be traded. Enough. That man is a fraud. And a lot of people say the word fraud. They throw the word fraud around a lot. That dude is a freaking fraud. He done put on 40 pounds of weight, and he still can't get out there and run. How did you get that heavy without having setbacks on the way up to being there? And if you're this fragile, that's why I'm not buying. I look at Kawhi Leonard, and I know that man's squatting like crazy. Like crazy. You don't get the leg strength that he has if you haven't been pushing like a madman for the last 2 years. And you're telling me he can't get out there on a basketball floor now? He too hurt to play? I'm not buying. I'm over there watching Dennis Smith Jr., who's been doing NFL training, playing like crazy. He's had just as many knee injuries as Kawhi Leonard. Just as many. And he's balling out because of the type of training that he's put himself through. He's in shape. I know Kawhi been putting himself through that same training. I can see it. He's ready to go. He's acting like he's not. And I'm calling it out. He's acting like he's not. For the reason, you want to know why? Because I think he's preserving himself, because he knows if he throws himself out there, he gonna get hurt. And he want to leave himself as much energy to destroy the conference at the end of the season. You want to be able to pop in in playoff time, use all that energy that he saved up while everybody else been killing themselves all regular season, and he's gonna try to blow him out. It's an unfair advantage. And nobody gonna hold him accountable for it at all. Not Ballmer, not the NBA, nobody. They just let him do it. We talk about all these players, guys like Anthony Davis, NBA champion of the Los Angeles Lakers, who has delivered on an NBA championship. He has to hear all this hell from everybody about how he don't play every single day. Kawhi Leonard ain't played no games at all in any of these times since AD's been going back and forth and in and out of the lineup. We ain't seen Kawhi at all. Play in the same city with the same expectations, same amount of salary, everything. One guy delivered a championship, the other dude talked crap in a commercial. Did everything he could to backstop the other guy's team so that he can have an unfair advantage that he wasn't able to take advantage of. We won the championship that year anyway. These are the type of things I'm like, man, I know that Kawhi Leonard can play. He's choosing not to. And I think he's doing it to give himself an unfair advantage against the field. And it ain't going to matter because his team is too damn short. And he's going to find out on the year. I'm sure he already knows that. And they need to get them a center or it's all going to go to waste no matter what he's doing. I feel sorry for Paul George. He's the one out there getting the brunt of the nonsense. He has to take on the punishment while saying I'm the number 2. Paul George, you ain't the number 2, bro. You number 1. You've been number 1 the whole time. This guy don't want to play. He can't be number 1. Period. Free Paul George. That's what I got to say. Free Paul George. What I want for Paul George, a trade to the Celtics, trade to a team where he can win. Get him out of that hole. That's a hole. You know that? Nobody's ever said free Paul George, but he's in a hole. His running mate doesn't want to play. And nobody will admit it. So, that's what I got to say, man. It's the Kobe Minute. I'm a bitter Laker fan. My team sucks. They're celebrating one win when we are a god-awful basketball team. I just want us to blow it up. I want us to blow it up. So, before I talk about anybody, I want to make sure y'all know how disappointed I am with my own squad. Yeah, that's what I got to say, man. BDO 44. Thank y'all for watching. I'm out.